Welcome to the penultimate installment of our year in review. I'm Dallas, and I don't get to talk about hip hop enough on this podcast.
I'm Gabby, and I did not listen to very much new music this year.
And I'm Demi, and I'm glad you guys are joining us. Welcome to another episode of Creative Differences, a year in review. Hope you guys are having a happy new year, and glad you guys joined us once more. Today, we are going to be discussing our top 10 music artists of 2020. The rules are going to be as follows, as I have been telling you guys for the last 3 days now. We're going to go through our top 10 list. As we go through this top 10 list, if somebody has an artist on their list that is higher on somebody else's list, they're going to call skip, and then we're going to wait until it gets to the highest point in the ranking, and then we'll talk about that artist. It's very unlikely to happen this time around, but hey, you never know. We'll find
But
out as this podcast goes.
just in case, for an example, if Gabby has Vanilla Ice at number 8 on her list and Demi has him at number 2, Demi will yell skip, and then we will talk about Vanilla Ice when we get to number 2.
Yep, that's how it goes.
See,
Before we get started, please make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, our Spotify, our Apple Podcast, whatever you use to listen to our podcast. We really appreciate it. And spread us around. We like talking to you guys.
Yep.
So let's get started. Usually we start with our honorable mentions. Dallas, do you have any? Because I know Gabby doesn't. She doesn't even have 10 people on her list.
I don't.
Calling her out. No, I don't have any honorable mentions this year. It was also, I don't know if it was a slow year for me or just I didn't get to 11 that I really rocked with. So no honorable mentions for me.
Well, I guess that just leaves me. So my honorable mentions list is Halsey for her album Manic, Cassidy Pope for her album Rise and Shine, Zayn for his song Better, Sarah Jeffrey for her song Even the Stars, and Camila Cabello for the Christmas song that she released this year, as well as her quarantine mashup sessions. So let's get
She was your
started.
number 1 last year, right?
She was on my number one last year. It's hard to put somebody on your list when they don't release music all year. Actually, when she released the Christmas song this year, it was a shock to everybody in the fandom because we didn't think we were getting any content this year.
Nice surprise.
And then
Camila
Taylor
was mine.
Swift was like 2 albums.
Yeah, no, but Camila's fandom, we weren't anticipating getting anything. Yeah, Camila Cabello was number 1 on my list last year. Cassidy Pope was number 7 on my list last year.
We ready?
So, yeah, let's get it popping. Let's start with our top 10. Number 10, Dallas, where you at, man?
All right, number 10. Full disclosure, my list got shaken up earlier today when I realized that a certain artist had put some music out, and then I had to put them on the list, and now it's in order, I guess. Whatever. Number 10 is Eminem for his album Music to Be Murdered By and the quote-unquote deluxe side B, which is honestly just another full album because it's 16 more tracks.
That's not a side B.
Right. I don't know why you called it a side B, and that's another album.
He was like,
But,
I don't want to come up with another name for an album, guys.
He's like, I'm just gonna say it's side B.
Out here pulling the Taylor Swift. What the heck?
Right, yeah.
But
he was like, I have nothing to do, guys. Inspiration has struck.
yeah, I'm just gonna release 32 songs this year. Yes, it's funny that the album name does sound very Eminem, Music to Be Murdered By, but it's actually a nod to Alfred Hitchcock because he put out an album, back when he was alive, called Music to Be Murdered By, and it's Hitchcock. He makes movies about murder and such. But anyway, the reason that he's on the list is because he's still good at rapping after decades in the game, and he uses his platform to bring awareness to stuff like police brutality and mass shootings, which the hip-hop world, I guess I'll call them, is kind of hot and cold on Eminem. Sometimes it's you are being too preachy. Sometimes it's you have nothing to say. So it seems like he can't really win with certain people. But I feel like someone who has a platform of his size, when they want to actually use it to talk about stuff that matters, then, I rock with that. In between, he talks about a bunch of, random violent nonsense because he's Eminem and that's his brand. But if you're going to call out murderous cops and Donald Trump while you do it, then, I'm on board for it.
Yay.
So that's why he's on my list, number 10.
Dope. Gabby, I would ask for your number 10, but
I don't have one. I tried though. I was like looking at all my favorites and I was like, oh, nobody dropped something in 2020. So I've just been listening to something that's a year old by accident. Okay.
So that means we're moving on to my number 10, which is Jade Novo for her album Stages. This album came out in the end of February, and I remember specifically that I only found out about the album because I think I saw it recommended to me or something on Spotify, and I saw that she had a whole, or I think I went to go listen to the first album that she has out because I love that album. and I saw that there was another album on there. And I got on Twitter and went, so who was going to tell me that Jay Nova put out another album this year? And she liked my tweet, and it was funny because it was actually only the day after she released the album, so luckily it wasn't too late. But yeah, I really love Jay Nova's voice. She does like R&B pop type of stuff. I've been a fan of hers since she was on Todrick Hall's visual album called Forbidden, and I just thought her voice was astounding. She does a Beyonce impression, which I believe is called Keonce or something like that, and
Nice.
she's freaking amazing at it. Oh my gosh, like she sounds just like Beyonce. It's ridiculous, but she's got a fabulous voice of her own. My standout songs on the album, well, I don't know if I'd call them standouts. I think what I'm going to do is, so the 3 songs that I'm going to mention for each artist are going to be songs that I think that are essential to listen to if you want to see if the album is for you or if you would be into this album. So for Jade Nova's stages, the standouts for me would be Cycles, In Your Head, and I Wish. So yeah, my number 10 is Jade Nova. So Dallas, number 9.
So it's funny. I was listening to our episode from last year, and I was thinking about the fact that I started doing the favorite song thing halfway through because you did it and I was copying you. And then I decided I was going to do it, and I forgot to do it for Eminem. So
yeah, I figured as much.
yeah, favorite songs from Eminem this year are "You Gon' Learn," "I Will," and "Yeah Yeah." Moving on.
Nice.
Number 9 is, okay, audience. I'm talking mostly to you guys because there's a high chance that Gabby and Demi are not going to know a lot of the people on my list.
Yeah, you listen to more hip hop than we do.
Yes. It's also funny because last year we were just roasting Colin on the fact that most of his list just sounds like 2 words he threw together. And Gabby was extremely vicious with it.
I'm so sorry.
Like there are two separate instances where Colin he says the name, and then Gabby makes a comment, and he's like, you know what? Never mind. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, poor Colin.
And he says, move on. We're moving on to Gabby. So yeah, that's probably why Colin's not here. Anyway, now it's my turn to be the Colin, except for, with you, audience. Number 9 is King Crooked. He is a rapper from Long Beach. He put out 2 albums this year because that's just the thing to do when you're a rapper during COVID,
what else
I guess.
is there to do, guys?
Yeah. You put out 2 albums because why not? One of the songs that I really like from him, and part of the reason why he's on the list, is because he put out a song called You Was Supposed To. The chorus is like, you were supposed to grow, you were supposed to glow. And basically the song is all of the things that could happen for someone. Specifically, he's talking about Tamir Rice, the little boy who was shot by the police when he was like, I think 12.
He was 12.
Yeah. And the song just talks about like, all the things that he could have done if the police weren't terrible.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know how to describe the song, but it made me feel some things. King Crooked has been one of my favorite rappers probably for like the last decade. And yeah, I'm glad he's still doing his thing. He was also featured on Eminem's album with the song I Will, which I just mentioned in my favorite songs from Eminem. He did a lot of features. He was featured on Royce the 5'9's album with Tricked, and he was featured on Russ's album with Stockholm Syndrome. But my favorite songs from King Crooked are I Will, You Were Supposed To, and Tricked. Moving on to, I guess, Demi.
Yeah, I believe it's me, bro.
All right.
So my number 9 this year is Dove Cameron. She was kind of on my list last year because my number 10 last year was the cast of Descendants, and so she's obviously included in that because she's the lead.
That's true.
But this year she is standalone on this list because she released 2 songs. I mean, last year she released 4, but this year she's released 2 songs, Remember Me and We Belong. I think both have music videos. We Belong just got a music video like within the last month or so. I just have always really liked Dove Cameron. I like her voice. I think she's a soprano, but she's just got like this really pretty voice. And ever since I heard her for the first time, I've been like, wow, I really want her to release like her own music, her own album, because she was on Disney Channel at the time. I think when I first heard her sing, she was on a show called Liv and Maddie, which is the music that I kind of heard her sing. And I was like, yeah, I want something that's not Disney Channel. And boy, is her music no longer Disney Channel.
That's growth.
It's growth indeed. But yeah, her music's really good pop music. Yeah, I just think she's really dope. So Dove Cameron for her 2 songs, Remember Me and We Belong. Hopefully this will lead to an album. I think she's constantly working on new music anyway. So hopefully we'll get an album one day, someday. And now we're back to you, Dallas, number 8.
Goodness gracious. All right, number 8. So this is where my list got tricky because number 8 is an artist who I'm sure would be higher on the list if I knew about her music before a few hours ago. Number 8 is Rhapsody. And
Okay.
Rhapsody is so dope. I wasn't super into her music before, like last year. She put out this album called Eve, and it was super dope. And all the songs were named after influential women. And it's a great album. I recommend you listen to it. To me, I think you'd like it a lot.
Cool.
She got on my radar this year because she was on the remix to Fight the Power that Public Enemy put out for 2020. And it was great. And I would listen to her verse over and over and over again. My favorite part being, "You love Black Panther, but not Fred Hampton."
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like her whole kind of vibe with a lot of her music. I didn't want to put her on the list for just one verse, no matter how good it was, because everybody else on my list had put out albums. So then for some reason, I was like, let me see if Rhapsody put anything else out. She put out several songs this year that I didn't know about. And I didn't have time to like really go in depth into all of them, which is probably why she's at number 8 instead of somewhere higher where she would be if I had more time to listen to all the albums. So she is number 8 with an asterisk.
Potential to move up.
Yeah, like would more than likely be higher up on the list if I knew about all of her songs before today. So Rhapsody, I apologize for not being up on game, but thank you for the dope music.
Cool. So my number 8 is Jordan Fisher. He and Dove are the only people on my list that don't have full albums out, and it's because those songs that they released are songs that I've literally listened to throughout the entirety of the year. Like I just kept listening to them no matter what month it was, no longer how long it had been since they released the songs. I would just continuously listen to them. He released 2 songs this year, Contact and Walking on the Ceiling, and both of them are stunning R&B tracks. Well, actually, I think Contact's more pop, but Walking on the Ceiling is definitely R&B, like get you in the mood for love type of jam.
Ooh.
He put out a music video for both of them. I love the lighting and the way that Contact is shot. Walking on the Ceiling is a quarantine music video, so he sings live in that music video. And he has all of his musicians, probably like Zoom in or something like that. But they each have their own window as well as his background singers. And the musical arrangement on that is just stunning. It is fantastic. He's such a great musician. He has such a fantastic voice. It is just not a Jordan Fisher song if he's not hitting his falsetto at least once. He's just got such a fantastic voice. So I would highly recommend anybody check out Jordan Fisher because he's such a great musician. So good, in fact, that he doesn't need a whole album to get on this list. He just needs 1 or 2 songs.
I respect it.
Hopefully he'll release an album. I know last year he said that he had been really anxious about releasing new music because he had never been certain if it was ready or if people would, react well to it. But hopefully now he's built up his confidence enough to start releasing more music again because I really love his voice and I really love his style of music. Also, congratulations to Jordan Fisher. He got married sometime in early December or late November. Had a nice little Disney wedding. So congrats to him.
Wait, he had a wedding at Disney?
Yeah, they had a masked up Disney wedding.
Oh, jealous.
Their wedding pictures are super cute.
Oh.
So my number 8 is Jordan Fisher, which takes us to number 7, Dallas.
Number 7. All right, my number 7, Joyner Lucas. Joyner Lucas is a rapper who also put out 2 albums this year because
all these artists
got nothing to do. Yeah. It's funny. His first album that he put out this year was called ADHD. It was, what's the word? Like long awaited because I don't know why he was releasing a bunch of different singles, a couple of which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But like the songs came out last year because he was releasing singles, but everybody's like, yo, where's the album? He released like 6 singles. They're like, bro, is this the whole album? So much that he has a skit on this album from Chris Tucker, just yelling at him, talking about where's your album at? We've been waiting so long.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He also has Kevin Hart in there. It's just a bunch of comedians yelling at him. It's kind of funny. But the songs that really are the reason that he's on the list. Well, first off, he has a song called Will. And I think, Demi, I shared this with you. It's the one that's basically an ode to Will Smith.
Nice.
Yeah. So that gets you on my list automatically. And the video is him reenacting a bunch of different Will Smith movies.
I have seen the preview for that video.
Yeah. So that's on the album. And then what was awesome is that Will Smith found the song. And then there was a video on Will Smith's YouTube channel where he's talking to Joyner Lucas about the song. And you could just see how happy Joyner was. And I was like, yo, I'm so envious of you right now. But I was like, yo, if I was a rapper, I would definitely make that song. And then Will made a remix where he recorded a verse because he's great. and then going from that happy note to another song called Devil's Work. And that one is a lot more somber. It's basically a song talking to God about how good people keep passing away while bad ones run wild. And it is aggressive, but like it stays, it's like it stuck with me. Like there's a couple of lines where he says, I've been in my feelings too, but if you took Emmett Till, at least take Dylan Roof. At least take James Holmes. I ain't even mad at that. Just bring back Whitney and give us Michael Jackson back. And that's pretty much the vibe of the song is like, we're losing all these people, but then we still have people like Dylan Roof is still alive. Like Trayvon is dead, but Jordan Zimmerman is not. You get it. My favorite songs by Joyner this year were Isis, Devil's Work, and Will / the Will remix with Will Smith featured on it. That's my number 7.
Dope. Gabby, you can finally join us now because you said you've got 7 on your list, right?
I do.
Hey, Gabby's here.
Yay. Okay, so my number 7 is Billie Eilish, specifically for Therefore I Am and the song that she did for the new James Bond movie, which
was that this year?
Yes, it was. I believe it was called No Time to Die. For those two, I mean, she's a powerhouse. Everybody, really likes her work, and for such a young age, it's like there's a lot of depth and a lot of like heart in it, and spooky vibes too, because she kind of has like a quiet, spooky singing voice. So my number 7 is Billie Eilish.
Dope. All right, so my number 7 is Tori Kelly. She released an EP called Solitude, and she released a Christmas album called A Tori Kelly Christmas. I am a huge fan of Tori Kelly's. I have been for a long time now. She has this magnificent voice. Dear God, like she was on American Idol, and somehow Simon Cowell said her voice was annoying. Well, joke's on you, Simon Cowell.
Oh my God, you have bad taste.
She's so good. And she's also just an amazing songwriter in general, which is another reason why I really love her. I'm a big fan of singer-songwriters. She's a pop singer, but she's also got an R&B feel to her as well. That's actually most of my list, I gotta say. But also, I really liked her Christmas album, which I obviously started listening to around Christmas. I did not listen to it when it came out because it came out like before Halloween or something. It's mostly Christmas classics, but she also has a couple of original Christmas songs on there, like a song called 25th that was really nice. And just hearing her do like a rendition of Joyful Joyful, and that it's, she just has such a wonderful voice that it's just nice to hear her sing anything at all. My 3, I guess, standout essential songs that you guys should check out from her EP Solitude. I didn't do one for the Christmas album, but from her EP Solitude, I would suggest Value, Unbothered, and Glad. So that takes us to number 6, Dallas.
I just want to say I love how fast we're moving through this episode in comparison to.
It's because of me, but also I think we're all just very prepared.
Yes, we're prepared, and we all listen to very different music. So
we took notes this time around.
Yeah, I like it. Where are we? 6?
6.
Number 6 for me is Royce da 5'9".
Hey,
you know Royce. Yes, Eminem's best friend. Yes, he put out an album this year called The Allegory, which is nominated for a Grammy for Best Rap Album. So shout out to Royce. Congratulations. It was funny because the Grammys don't have the best reputation in terms of hip hop music.
They're trash.
Sorry.
They just are. Apparently there's like some shady like
there are politics involved in the Grammys.
Yeah.
A lot more than other places. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like this year there was a running joke on Twitter where people were saying, "Yo, I don't know who got into the Grammy office, but their nominations for rap album are good this year." So that's fun. His album The Allegory is very much about being like socially aware. You'll notice a theme if you're paying attention to my rappers. They all have something to say about society this year. It's been that kind of year.
Yep.
But since I've been a fan of his for like 10 years, it's been very cool to like follow the course of his career because, he's kind of an aggressive dude from Detroit. He talks about aggressive Detroit things like shooting people. But now he's talking more about, he's being more introspective and socially commentative, if that is a phrase. It is now. I decided. And yeah, it's just great to see the growth, as that meme would put it. To me, what's that woman's name we talked about in Wonder Woman?
You know what that is? Growth.
Yeah. My favorite songs from him are Tricked and Black Savage. He's also featured on Eminem's album like 3 times because they're best friends. And he has a podcast with Lupe Fiasco.
What? With
And
Lou?
let me tell you,
With
let me tell
Wasalu?
you, I was so happy when I found out about that because it came at a perfect time for me when I was actually starting to listen to podcasts more, aside from our own. 2 of my favorite rappers started a podcast called The Lupe and Roy Show, and they are hilarious.
Yo, I gotta go listen to Lupe.
Oh, you should definitely. Yeah, shout out to Lupe and Royce and Tom Frank. The no disrespect, but what it feels like the random white dude who's on the podcast because he seems like a great guy. He's very nice. He's cool. He's funny, but nobody had any idea what he was doing there because it's the Lupe and Roy show. And then Lupe comes on. It's like, I'm Lupe Fiasco, the rapper. And then Roy says, I'm Royce the 5'9". I'm also a rapper. And then Tom says, I'm Tom Frank, just a regular dude. And we're like, who are you?
Listen, man, he didn't have his name in the title because nobody knew who he was.
Yeah, Lupe and Royce. And I got all the respect from the world for Tom because Lupe and Royce are so silly. And he just has to put up with them.
Oh, is he like the wrangler? He's wrangling them.
I think he definitely is. He's like,
he's
you
like
know,
the producer.
Yeah, he's gonna like. He's like, we're gonna try to, talk to the fans, do this and that. And Lupe's like, no, I don't want to do it. It's super silly.
Oh, I gotta go listen to that.
Exactly.
Oh, I love Lupe.
Also, a couple things I want to point out. Like, this isn't technically music, but it's audio and they put it out, so I'm just bringing it up. Their podcast, like the episode right before the Grammy nominations were announced, Royce was talking about the Grammys, and he was saying things that people often say about the Grammys: politics, they suck, rada 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 rada. And then in the next episode, he had just been nominated for a Grammy, which is just the timing of it was so hilarious.
What did he say after that?
Thanks.
He was like, I feel the same, but thank you.
And then a word like a suckier instance was an episode where they were talking about, COVID and vaccines and stuff like that. And he said, basically, I'm never going to get COVID. Next episode, Royce is out sick.
He got
episode
COVID.
After that, Royce is back. He had COVID.
My God.
Royce. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
I'm realizing that Lupe is much more of a troll than I kind of knew that, but hearing him on a podcast, it's just, I'm glad they have the relationship that they do because Lupe is very playfully antagonistic. And it was like, oh yeah, Royce, how you feeling? You feeling better? Blah, blah, blah. He was like, yeah, I was down for a bit. And he's talking just, what you say when you were sick and now you're back. And then Lupe comes on. He's like, what'd you have, nigga? He said, I want to know. I want to hear you say it. But yeah, Royce has gotten better and things are all good. Oh, and I love that podcast. And I love Royce and I love Lupe. That's my number 6.
Gabby.
Oh, my number 6.
Yeah, you're in the game now.
Yeah. Oh my God. I thought I was just going to get to chill here for a minute. No. Okay. My number 6 is Yeba, who is it's hard for me to place what she is. I guess she's like pop R&B, but more on the R&B side, I guess. And specifically because she only released like one song this year, Distance. But I heard of her from this other song that's very popular of hers on YouTube that came out years ago, but specifically this year for Distance. And she's just kind of like, she's a very soulful and like emotional singer. And she has this way of like drawing you in and then just kind of breaking your heart with her voice a little bit. She's really good. So I figured I'd put her on here. She's kind of up and coming. She's been featured on Sam Smith albums, on Ed Sheeran's music. And I think she's like slowly creeping up into more like less obscurity and more just like popularity. So Yeba. That's my number 6.
Dope.
Very nice. Very nice.
My number 6 is Little Mix for their album Confetti. This album came out in early November, but I didn't listen to it until like 2 weeks ago because Colin listened to it and reminded me that it was an album I probably should listen to before the year ended to see if it would end up on my list. And it did. It totally shook up my list. Little Mix is that group that I like. I've loved Little Mix for a very long time. I got into them because they reminded me a lot of 90s pop and R&B music. And so did their music videos. They had a very 90s aesthetic going. And I'm the type of person who will tell you I miss 90s and early 2000s music. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. I grew up on it. So because they had that aesthetic going to them, I really got into their music. But sometimes I'll forget that they have new music coming out and I won't listen to it until like the last minute. And then I'll suddenly be reminded, oh my gosh, yes, this is why I love them. They're so good. When I was listening to the album, I was telling Colin about like, wow, these songs are straight fire. And Colin was like, yeah, it was like they said banger, 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 slow, emotional, beautiful song about love, a banger, banger. And like he's not wrong. That's literally the album. The album is mostly upbeat pop songs that make you want to get up and dance and move and just and groove. And I love that about this album. In a year where, you know, a lot of people are kind of down in the dumps because it's been a really hard year for everyone. I just think it's a great album to listen to if you really want to get like high spirits or whatever. It's just really upbeat and very, you know, like I said, you want to groove to it, you want to dance to it. It makes you feel good. Although it was announced this past month, as a matter of fact, that one of the girls is actually leaving the band. Jessie is leaving, and
Oh,
I'm kind of sad about it because she has such a unique voice and such a unique tone. But like, good for her. I think she said that she was doing it for mental health reasons.
oh, well, yeah, that's important.
But the other three girls are going to stay in the band and they're going to continue doing music. So I'm excited to hear, you know, what it's going to sound like minus one of the girls that has always been there. But, you know, they're going to move forward and continue. It's sad that Jessie's not going to be there, but I hope that she feels better and that she moves forward and that she's like healthier than ever because that's what's really important. But my essential standouts for this album are Breakup Song, My Love Won't Let You Down, and Rendezvous. Felt like My Love Won't Let You Down was important to put on this list of three because it's one of the few slow songs on the album. And I always want to put at least one slow song on there. But yeah, whole album is just full of bangers and bops. So if that's what you're looking for, take a moment out of your day to listen to their album Confetti.
Because you're talking about how much you like 2000s music. And it just brought me back to that time that we were all in that hotel listening to
Yes.
or watching music videos from the 2000s.
And we should do it again.
Oh, what a great time that was.
It was amazing. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's when we realized that that Spice Girl song is about a gangbang.
Stop it now.
I'm just saying.
My goodness.
If you're going to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. They
Stop
are
it.
trying to pass that dude around.
Hey, guys, we have made it to our top 5, the second half of our list.
Yes.
Oh, second half of me and Dallas's list. Gabby's about to read the second half of her list.
Whatever fraction this is. 5/7, 5/8?
Yeah. Dallas,
5/7.
What's your number 5?
Number 5 is Lupe Fiasco.
Hey.
Yeah.
I love him.
In addition to everything I said about that wonderful podcast, Lupe put out an EP this year called The House EP with producer Colin Ellis, who I had never heard about before, but he's dope. Shout out to him. Lupe was kind of like lower on my list because it was only, I think, 5 or 6 songs. And then I listened to it more and more and then slowly moved him up the list because Lupe, okay, so here's the thing about Lupe. Lupe usually requires multiple listens to kind of just understand what he's talking about, but also to get all of the references and to get all of the messages in the song. As we were doing this, I was, quietly checking to see if I had missed any. And Lupe and Colin Ellis put out another song. It was called Rest Up Big Homie, We Got It From Here. The song is about George Floyd and is a tribute because it's been that kind of year. I apologize for everyone on my list having some kind of ties to the terrible, terrible year that was 2020. But, that's important, especially in our music and our culture.
You right?
Yeah. So an example of like the kind of way you have to listen to Lupe's music is he has a song called Dinosaurs. And it sounds like it's just a song about dinosaurs, but it's layered because that's what Lupe does. The song comes on, he's talking about, dinosaurs, T-Rexes, raptors, all that stuff. And it's funny because I was looking at a clip from Joe Budden's podcast and they were like clowning the song, like this dude just sitting here rapping about dinosaurs, blah, 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 blah. And then they got him on the phone and he explained the song. And he said, well, first off, he wrote it for, I think he said his niece and nephew because kids like dinosaurs. But also on another level, it's a metaphor for rappers like Lupe who are now like in their late 30s and they're kind of like the dinosaurs of the rap game. It's funny because one of the guys who was on the podcast clowning it, he pulls up his phone and he's like, oh my God, I'm reading the lyrics now. That all makes sense.
Yo!
He said, I apologize, Lupe Fiasco.
Yes!
That's the best.
Yo, he got an on-air apology.
That's the thing is like, it's never as simple as you think, because the song came out. I was like, okay, the song sounds like it's about dinosaurs, but it's Lupe. So there's some message I'm missing here. And of
Yeah.
course there was. He also has another song on the EP called Shoes. And on its surface, it's written from the perspective of a guy buying running shoes. It's about, shoes. But it really serves as an ode to Ahmaud Arbery, who was, yeah, he was shot while going for a run in his neighborhood. For those who don't know, Lupe Fiasco is my favorite rapper ever. And it's because he's always been this kind of rap really well. You can enjoy listening to the music, but you're also going to get something more. And Lupe has never shied away from what is important. And that's not to say that, if you're going to be a rapper or a musician, that you have to put all this stuff in your music, because you don't. But I'm really glad that Lupe does it in a way that I can enjoy his music, but also get something meaningful out of it. And I'm sure he would be higher up on my list if he had more songs out this year, but it was a short EP and a single here and there. My favorite songs from Lupe this year are Dinosaurs, Shoes, and Apologetic. And also, shout out to the Lupe and Roy Show. That podcast is amazing. Moving on.
Gabby, you're number 5.
My number 5 is Taylor Swift.
Hey, my number 5 is also Taylor Swift.
Let's
Wow.
get talking.
Yeah, Taylor Swift was also my number 4 last year. She is on my list this year for her 2 albums, Folklore and Evermore, which were both surprise albums, especially Evermore, I feel like. Once you release an album, I'm not anticipating a second one to suddenly show up, but, it did.
I'm so happy that I was the one to tell you.
Yeah,
I was trying to contact you. I was like, Demi needs to know because she doesn't know.
Well, it was weird because it was you and another friend of mine who were trying to contact me, and I just woke up late, and I was looking at it, and I was like, "What, you mean Folklore?" Yeah, and then I went on, and I was like, "Oh no, she's releasing another one? That's crazy." Yeah, Taylor Swift with her 33 songs that she released this year, if you got the deluxe versions.
Oh boy.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, to be fair, at least she split them up around the year. Yeah, no, Taylor Swift basically released a two folk pop albums this year. Both of them I felt were very much in tune, very much vibing with how quarantine kind of felt as a whole. Like listening to those albums, I'm like, yeah, this is what quarantine feels like.
I just like folk music. So, and it's just like a little bit more accessible version of folk music. So I'm like, fuck yeah, sign me up.
I have no opinion of folk music.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I did live in Santa Cruz for 5 years. So it's just something you're going to encounter there, just living amongst the forest and, the people.
The forest
there.
people.
Yep. The whites.
Good to know. The white. All right.
So I really gained an appreciation for folk music while I was there, and like bluegrass and all that stuff. So just like a more poppy, accessible version of that, I was like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I wasn't really interested in Taylor Swift's Reputation album or Lover.
I love both of those albums.
Yeah. I wasn't, as like, I was just like, meh, I'll get to them. And then I never got to them. But this one I was like, ooh, this looks like right up my alley. And it was. And it you know what it was too, is just felt like all of the music went with each other a little bit more than at least Reputation. I was like, this is fine.
If you only listen to the singles on Reputation, you kind of missed out on like the rest of it, because there are so many much better songs on Reputation than these singles that she was releasing.
No, what I mean is like the album kind of feels like it goes together. It's much more cohesive, like because it has a very similar tone.
Yeah, it's all slow folk pop songs. That's the reason why it's actually so low on my list, is I wasn't feeling the fact that it was all the same.
And I liked it. I was like, these songs all go together. I like this. But I also, like I said, I just really like folk music. Like I found Oscar Isaac's like secret folk music on Spotify, and I was like, fuck yeah, sign me up. And I listened to it on repeat over and over again. Similarly, this, like I was like, yes, I love these vibes, man.
Yeah, well, like I said, Taylor Swift's 2 albums definitely feel like, and I've only listened to Evermore once. I need to listen to it again. I've listened to Folklore a couple of times, and I just feel like both albums kind of like their tone, they feel like what this year felt like. I also appreciate the fact that, and I didn't really notice it until I watched, she's also on my list for Folklore, the Long Pond Studio Sessions, which is her Disney Plus live play. Yeah, her special of her playing all of the music from Folklore live.
Oh, wow.
She also talks, like, gives some background about all the songs on the album and how she came up with them and stuff like that. These are like the first 2 albums that she's ever made that aren't well, folklore in particular, that aren't autobiographical. They're all just stories that she either came up with from her imagination, or stories that she's heard before about, actual historical figures. Last year I talked about how Taylor writes, like, her songs are all very relatable because usually they're so autobiographical. She's felt these things before, and so it makes it easier for you to feel these things because she's very descriptive about how those things felt. It feels authentic, and I feel like that still applies even about music that isn't actually about her, but she still makes you relate to these stories even if you've never heard these stories before. She tells a good story. She's a great storyteller, and that's what makes her such a great songwriter in my opinion. So that's why she's number 5 on my list. She's amazing. I love Taylor Swift. I also really like the music videos that she did for these 2 albums despite being in quarantine. I thought they were really imaginative and very well shot. So my essential standouts from Folklore and Evermore, I chose 3 songs out of the 33 that she released. It was kind of difficult, but I chose The One, August, and Willow.
Nice. I really liked Cardigan, as did everybody, but that's my one.
The moment I heard The One, I was just like, oh, I know that this is going to be a favorite of mine. I like the rhythm of it. I like the melody. I love the way that she says her words and stuff like that. I just think that that all flows so well. But yeah, Folklore and Evermore from Taylor Swift. That is our number 5. Also, check out her special on Disney Plus because I thought it was really cool and it was nice to hear her play all those songs live.
Nice.
It's also very vibey. Gabby, did you know that she actually wrote a couple of songs with her boyfriend Joe Alwyn?
I did not, because I've just played them.
Well, he uses a pseudonym in the song like tracks. He uses a pseudonym for his songwriter name.
Oh, okay.
And she revealed on her Disney Plus special that he was actually she wrote a couple of songs with him.
Oh,
so he's
that's
apparently
cute.
also a talented songwriter.
Very
That
nice.
relationship, man, I'm hoping it works out. Anyway,
To me.
I am. He seems like a really great dude, and they're like
I mean,
so
we all
about their
hope it works out.
privacy. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that. But
I'm not gonna say I don't want it to work out. That's awful.
No,
Hold
I
on,
know,
time out.
but it's just like, oh god.
That's funny because when we were doing this episode last time, the theme "What is an artist if not at his best, at his darkest" kept coming up. We're talking about like artists who go through a breakup and then make really great music, and I'm glad that we are not echoing
right
that
now?
sentiment.
We're actually I'm gonna bring that back up actually
Here we
later,
go.
but not now. Not now.
Okay.
Number 4, Dallas.
Number 4 is Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats. Denzel Curry is a rapper, young dude from Florida, very dope. Kenny Beats is a producer. He makes beats, hence the name Kenny Beats. This year they put out an album together called Unlocked, and it's a concept album in a way because they released it with this video, let's say short film on YouTube, and the premise is that their album gets leaked and they have to go into the computer, Wreck-It Ralph style, to retrieve each track
Oh wow.
to get the album out. Yeah, it's super creative and it's hilarious. Like the video starts with Denzel showing up at Kenny's studio. He's pissed because the album leaked, and they hilariously go back and forth, blaming each other for a bit. And then Kenny says, "Well, the solution is we just have to go get the files." And Denzel's like, "What the hell you mean get the files?" So Kenny brings out this huge helmet with like these weird tubes attached to it that for some reason is a USB. And Denzel says, "What type of BDSM stuff is you into? Where did you get this?" And Kenny says, "Oh, I got it from a guitar center in Guadalajara." Because why not? So then he says, if you don't want to wear it, then your album is just, out there, and there goes all your streaming money. He says, there goes those $4 you're going to make from all those 2 million streams, because streaming's not the best for artists.
No, it's
but
not.
That's neither here nor there. It's super creative, and each song, it's like a short little project. Each song has its own video in the film, and each song has a different style, like each music video. So it goes from like Uzumaki, which is Japanese horror, creepy anime style, and then it switches to like Scooby-Doo animation. It goes to a Robot Chicken claymation for a second, and then like wacky races, old school Disney. It's very fun to watch and to listen to. As far as the music goes, the songs are very dope on their own, but the project and the visuals, it takes it to another level. They're mostly on the list because of the creative project that they put out with the music. The music itself is really cool, but to watch it while listening to all of that is super dope. And that's why they're number 4. Moving on.
Gabby, what's your number 4?
Okay, so my number 4 is Wallows. Wallows is a pop band, pop like rock. It's hard to
Man, you were talking
explain.
about Colin last year. Wallows?
Oh, okay. Well, okay, you're gonna say that until I tell you who's in the band. So it's a band that has the guy from 13 Reasons Why in it, Dylan Minnette.
Dylan Minnette.
He's the lead singer guitarist. Yeah.
I didn't know he did music.
Yeah, and it's on the radio. Like I heard them on the radio the other day and I was like, "Oh, I know what this is." Um yeah, so basically what happened was I was on this dude's Wikipedia page and it said he was in a band and I was like, "He's in a band?" And I went and I listened to the music and I was like, "Oh no, I like this."
Oh no,
And
I
it's
like this.
basically like if Weezer and like a 60s like kind of ocean music like Pulp, the intro to Pulp Fiction. It's kind of got those kind of guitar vibes. And if like that and like the singer from Weezer, like just the singing kind of bit of Weezer had a baby, and that's what Wallows sounds like.
All right.
Its description is lo-fi music, alternative rock, surf music, post-punk, power pop rock. Which, yes,
What?
it's
What?
like surf music. It's like, you play it in the background on the way to the beach kind of music. Um,
Got you.
and so it's like that, and it's like very Weezery, but like if there was like surf music guitar in the background. They're pretty sweet. I like them a lot. Specifically, they released an EP this year. It's called Remote. Although the album that they released last year is really great too. It's called Nothing Happens, but their EP was really great. It came out in October. Their most popular song on it is Nobody Gets Me Like You. I'm still kind of listening to it to see which one I like because it just did recently just come out. But I do recommend Nobody Gets Me Like You and Talk Like That. Wallows. They're my
Nice.
number
Wallows.
4.
My number 4 is Machine Gun Kelly for his album Tickets to My Downfall.
Oh, I should have put him on my list.
He was my number 3 last year for his album Hotel Diablo. This year he came out with a pop punk album, and it is amazing and reminded me how much I like pop punk.
Yeah, dude.
It's just such a good album that he did with Travis Barker as his drummer. He did a movie called The Dirt last year where he played Tommy Lee, and then he was working with Travis Barker on a song last year for Hotel Diablo called I Think I'm Okay, which really got him into wanting to explore, punk music a little bit more. So that's how this album came to be.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many movies are out that require somebody to play Tommy Lee? Because aren't they making another one right now?
No, they're making a TV show right now with Sebastian Stan and Lily James.
Oh, a TV show. Okay.
I cannot wait. Anyway,
of course you can.
That's not what this is about. This is
Right.
this is about Machine Gun Kelly / Tickets to My Downfall. Yeah, fantastic album. From the moment I put it on, just oh my goodness, such a journey. Because the album starts out seeming like it's really about not caring about people and not trusting people. And then as you go through the album, it becomes more and more about caring about people and about how love is so important and stuff like that.
Aw. He tricks you.
He has an interlude on the album called Banyan Tree, I guess. I think that's what it's called. It's him talking to Megan Fox, who is his current girlfriend. And it's them just having a conversation about their relationship. And it's just a really sweet moment between them that I guess he recorded on his phone or something. And he sings a little bit at the end of it, talking about like how much she loves him and how, I guess it's kind of like how amazed he is at the fact that she loves him so much.
Aw.
That's sweet.
Yes. So it's a very good album. I love it so much. 2 years back to back of really great albums from Machine Gun Kelly. I just found out today that he has a deluxe edition. So I listened to the extra songs that I had not listened to before we did this podcast. And those songs are also really amazing.
How many deluxe songs was it? 16?
No,
Stop
there's
it.
only 5 extra. I think there was only 4 or 5 extra songs, including his cover of Misery Business with Travis Barker.
Yo.
That sounds interesting.
Oh, he does a great cover of that song.
Oh, I gotta listen to
Might
it.
have to hear that.
So the 3 essential songs that I chose from that album, I chose not to do essential songs from deluxe versions. I just wanted to do it from like the normal versions of the album. And then if you like the album, you can just go listen to the deluxe. But my 3 essentials from Tickets to My Downfall are Forget Me Too, which features Halsey. It's probably my favorite song that either of them has ever done. Concert for Aliens and Play This When I'm Gone, which is a song that he wrote for his daughter, which is so sad, but also kind of sweet at the same time.
Wait, what's it called?
Play This When I'm Gone.
That's just interesting because Eminem has a song called When I'm Gone. That I don't know if that one's about Haley, but it's also funny because like Eminem's daughter is the point of contention between Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem.
Yes,
what?
She is.
So
Machine Gun Kelly
like
said something that he should not have about Eminem's daughter, and Eminem went after him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and here we are.
I think MGK has apologized for it before.
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
But Eminem was still going after him. So yeah, my number 4 is Machine Gun Kelly. Top 3, guys. We have made it.
Top 3, we made it.
All right.
What you got, Dallas?
Top 3. Number 3 is Illmac. You guys don't know who that is because he's a battle rapper.
You right.
That's correct, sir.
Yes. I watch battle rap. I have for 10 years. I'm very into it. He's actually been my favorite battle rapper for a long time, aside from Dumbfounded. But Dumbfounded not really into battle rap like that anymore, so it's a whole thing. Illmac put out 2 good albums this year, Spring and Summer, because apparently there's a theme of putting out 2 albums if you're on my music list this year. Spring is my favorite of the 2. There's like a couple songs that really, really stuck out. The last song is called Laksa, which don't worry about the title. And he ends it by describing a rap battle that he had with his niece on FaceTime.
Ooh.
And he said, I FaceTimed my niece and we battled. I killed her though. My girl's like, you got 30'd by a 6-year-old. So 30'd in battle rap refers to losing all 3 rounds of a battle, like 3-0, 30. So this girl's like, your 6-year-old niece killed you in this battle. And it's even funnier to me and, fans of battle rap because he goes into different things that battlers say, like when they lose a battle.
So he did lose.
I mean, I wasn't there. The great thing is that the album's outro, like the end of that song, is actually his niece rapping the audio of it.
Wow.
And it's adorable. She spits her verse and she's like, yeah, I didn't even write it down. I just freestyled. I just thought of it. And then she tells everybody, thanks for listening to my uncle's album. And I was like, this is so sweet.
Oh.
But yeah, the song he put out this year that really got him like higher up on my list is he has a song called Gardettos and Velour Sweats. And it's basically him just rapping for 6.5 minutes straight. I listen to it on repeat all the time, which is a testament to how great it is because a 6.5 minute song is a commitment.
Yep.
Especially if he's doing like a lot of times rappers will make a song that's just them rapping like, nonstop. I'm like, wow, I'm going to listen to this over and over again because I love it so much and it's so good. And he talks about a bunch of different things from like drug problems to race and culture. And in hip hop, there's this whole thing about it being culturally Black and how if you're not Black in hip hop, you're kind of like a guest in the culture. And some people take this a certain way and some people say it in a more aggressive way that's more discriminatory than anything. Illmac is, to be honest, ethnically, I have no idea what this man is, but I don't think he's Black. And he says something along the lines of, I grew up listening to Black music. My mom loved rock and roll. We both listened to Black music. He talks about how rock and roll was stolen from Black people.
It was indeed.
I'll have to come back to that because I don't want to misquote the line. But then later on, in the same song, because it's 6 freaking minutes, he has a line that always stuck with me. And I'm going to give a disclaimer for some aggressive lyricism. He says, they victim blame, see a suicide, and tweet about mental health like here's a number to a hotline if it helps. Well, Harvey Weinstein's a rapist, Cosby as well. We can debate who's worse when they're both rotten in hell. A lot of y'all know somebody that won't confide in you because you'd shame them for surviving things you couldn't conquer yourselves.
Ooh.
And I was like, yo, I played that line back so many times.
Ooh.
But yeah, that's kind of like the vibe of the song. It's just, I'm going to rap and say a bunch of stuff that is very meaningful. And if you want to listen to me rap for 6 minutes, go for it. But I don't want to misquote that line about how everything is Black music. So I am going to vamp until I found it. I found it. Okay. I grew up listening to rap music. My mom loved rock and roll. We both listening to Black music. Don't pretend that it ain't. Showing respect as a guest in it won't threaten my place. No Chuck Berry, no Elvis, legacy paved. The hound dog like Big Mama Thornton, may she rest in the grave. Big Mama Thornton is the one who came up with the song Hound Dog, which is an Elvis song because white people.
I like that.
Yeah, he's basically saying, I'm a guest in this culture, but it doesn't threaten my place to acknowledge that. Like, I don't need to pretend that this isn't something that was created by Black people. And I was like, I love that. It's the perfect way to acknowledge that this is all Black music, but you are still welcome to participate in it. And yeah, with no Chuck Berry, we would not have Elvis. So, white people, you're welcome. All right. My favorite songs for Ilmac are High School Dropout, Be Better, and Gardetto's and Velour Sweats. And that's my number 3.
Gabby, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Cardi B for WAP. Literally, just WAP.
Just a while.
That song's amazing. Ben
Oh my
Shapiro
God.
suck a dick. I'm just kidding.
This is that part of the episode.
That song took me out of a depressive state.
That's good.
It was so good. It was just like delightful.
That's worthy enough of being number 3
Right?
Yeah,
on
definitely.
its own.
Like, I was just like, this song's amazing. And the video's amazing. And it was just hilarious. And, it's so good. And just like the memes that came out of it. That song was a cultural experience. Thank you, Barty. It's been too long since we had a Barty album. We need another one. It's about bangers. She works with female rappers. She tries to bring people up. I love her. She's amazing. And she's Latina too. Woo.
Shout out to Buck Alice.
Yep. Shout out to Belcalis and Mansar. And now all my furniture is flooding. Great. I'm just kidding. Belcalis.
Bringing back the memes.
That's
To me.
amazing.
I said that name out loud in my furniture.
I love the internet.
Oh, I love people. All right. So yeah, that's my number 3, Cardi B.
Awesome. Cool. My number 3, who was on my honorable mentions last year, is Shawn Mendes for his album Wonder. So he announced this album in September. And what's funny is the month before he got a tattoo that said Wonder, which should have been a hint that that was going to be the name of the album. But yeah, it's a fantastic pop album. I thought it was going to be the last album that I would have to listen to for the year until Taylor Swift decided, hey, let me drop a surprise album again. But yeah, I just really love this album because Gabby was saying earlier how Taylor's album, like it all sounded like it all belonged together, like it all kind of meshed. And I feel the same way about Wonder. Wonder was very much inspired by 60s and 70s pop music like Frankie Valli. And you can definitely hear it in all the songs except for Piece of You. That's the only one that sounds different, and he has acknowledged the fact that that's the only one that does not really fit with the rest of the album. And it's because it was such a good song, he couldn't resist putting it on the album. It's just a really dope album about being in love, and yo, that's dope. Like Dallas brought up earlier that we talked last year about what is an artist if not at his best at his darkest, that kept coming up last year.
Yes, I did.
I was the one who brought up that lyric last year.
Yes, I remember.
My number 1 last year was Camila Cabello because her album wasn't that. Her album was, she was very happy in her relationship, and her entire album was about being in love and falling in love for the first time. This album is basically the response to that album because Sean is Camila's boyfriend. It almost, for me, feels like a response album. There are a couple of lyrics that sound like they are responding to something that Camila said in her album Romance, which is really nice. So it's just cute, man. It's just watching these two 20-year-olds be in love. Like, how am I mad about that? Like, they're cute, they're happy, they're in love. Congratulations on making me feel single. Like, what do you?
Wow.
Like, but yeah, he has a wonderful track list for this. He released 2 deluxe versions of the album within like a week of the album being out. The first deluxe version is the holiday deluxe version, which added his cover of Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Frankie Valli that he performed during one of his promo things. And then the Christmas song, which he did with Camila, which is why she's on my honorary mentions list. And then the second deluxe album, he did a quarantine performance. So it has all the songs that he performed live on that quarantine performance on the deluxe album, plus I think whatever was on the holiday deluxe album. He's also on my list because he released a Netflix documentary called Shawn Mendes in Wonder, which was really nice to watch. And I would highly recommend, if you like Shawn Mendes, watching that before listening to his album Wonder, because it feels like a good teaser for the album. It kind of ends on a note that has you like really interested in listening to what the album would be. And then he also released on Netflix Shawn Mendes in Concert, which is just the recorded version of his tour from last year, obviously, because, we're in a quarantine right now.
Yeah.
This Wonder album is just super good. These are the 3 songs I would recommend if you are interested in getting into this album. The song Wonder, his song Dream, and a song called 305. It was really hard for me to narrow down which 3 I wanted. I knew Wonder had to be on there, but Dream and 305, I had a hard time picking out of the entire album because the whole album is so good. It was hard for me to decide which 3. But I feel like Wonder, Dream, and 305 are really good representations of what the album is like. And if you like those songs, you'll probably like the rest of the album. Actually, Gabby, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. I think you might like Wonder because it kind of, as I was listening to it, it kind of reminded me of Jonas Brothers' album from last year.
Ooh.
Except more 60s and 70s vibe.
Okay. Ooh, that's exactly what I want to listen to.
Because 305 sounds like a Beach Boys type of song.
I will listen.
Yeah, I think that you would probably like that album a lot.
Is Sean from Miami?
He's not from Miami. He is from Canada.
Oh. He's from Toronto? Question mark?
Pickering.
Why is the song called 305?
305 is because Camila's from Miami.
Ah, there it is.
So my number 3 is Shawn Mendes, and I hope you guys enjoy that album if you check it out.
Cool. Also, just it's so refreshing and a nice change of pace to hear you talk about music responses that are loving instead of aggressive.
Right, not a diss.
Exactly. This is a response to that. And it's like, what happened? But it's like, no, it's just we love each other.
Yeah, it's literally just them talking about how in love with each other they are. And it's just like, God, guys, my heart is so full because you guys are in love. That's so nice.
Oh.
Yeah, being in love is dope. I recommend it.
Friendship.
I want to be in love. It sounds great. Number 2 is, guys, number 2.
Number 2. My number 2 is Black Thought, a.k.a. Black Thought from the Roots.
Actual thought?
Okay.
Or, okay.
Yes, Black Thought is
one
rapper.
That comes out of your mind or a THOT thought?
Goodness gracious. The first
You
one.
never know nowadays.
That's true. I don't listen to any rappers with thought in their name. I mean, not that kind of. Never mind. Anyway, Black Thought put out an album this year called Streams of Thought, Volume 3. And it's great. He also put out a single for, I think it was HBO Max's Between the World and Me.
Nice.
Adaptation that they did. I haven't watched that yet. The song's called American Heartbreak because, I have a theme going with this list.
Yeah.
Some of the best rappers are also the ones who have the most to say, and it happens like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But he was also featured all over the place. He was on Eminem's album. He was on the Fight the Power remix by Public Enemy. He was on Russ's album. So it just seemed like every time I looked up, it felt like Black Thought was on a track just out rapping somebody. And like I said, he came with the substance that was needed for 2020. So I respect the hell out of that. Also, although this song didn't come out this year, the song didn't come out in 2020. 2020 was the year I realized that he's on the Hamilton mixtape.
That's why I know that name.
Yes, he's featured on the version of My Shot that plays in the Hamilton credits if you're watching it on Disney+.
Do you guys want to know the super white reason why I know who he is?
Oh wait, yes.
The Roots are Jimmy Fallon's band.
Of course.
Yep, I'm
It's
like,
so
I
funny.
know that person.
Talking to certain people about the Roots. And then, if they don't know, I'm like, Jimmy Fallon. Oh, yeah, the band. Yeah. It's funny how many white people probably know who Questlove is just because of that.
Yep, Questlove's the best, though. I love him.
And really good friends with Janina
Instagram.
Gavankar.
Yeah, that's also why I follow him and love him. He took her to the Grammys with him earlier this year, and it looked like so much fun being friends with him. I was like, oh, friendship.
Oh, favorite songs that he's on or that feature him this year are Yeah Yeah on Eminem's album, Good Morning and his album, and We Could Be Good on his album. So yeah, Black Thought from the Roots. Number 2, Gabby.
My number 2 is Megan Thee Stallion. I'm pretty sure. Let's double check. Yes.
Yes. That makes sense.
Imagine if it wasn't.
Oh God, I'd be like, oh no, plot twist. So my number 2 is Megan Thee Stallion. I love her. She's amazing. And so she released an album this year called Good News. The songs that I liked from it are Body and Crybaby. Everybody likes Body. But I also really liked her Savage remix with Beyonce earlier this year. That was amazing. But she's just amazing. She's a really good rapper. She released a clothing line with Crunchyroll this year because she's also super into anime. And yes, I did buy something from it because that's who I am. It's like the most bright orange sweatshirt you've ever seen in your whole life.
Does it say Crunchyroll on it?
No, it has like an anime character on the back. and it says I think it says like Megan and Crunchyroll. It's great.
What character is it?
It's a character that she designed.
Oh, nice. That's dope.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I'll
cool.
send you a photo. It's great. And I just love that she did that. I'm like, yes, you are a weeb. She called herself a big ol' weeb on like a GQ video that she did. And she's just really adorable and just like awesome. And I wish her all the best. She was also on WAP, and that's also why I wish her all the best, because like I said, that song brought me out of a depressive episode. So I also love Megan Thee Stallion for that. And yeah, that's why she's my number 2. But she released way more music than Cardi B this year, so that's why I had to up her a little bit more, because she gave me more stuff to live off of.
That's fair. I feel that. That's exactly why Tori Kelly was so low on my list, because I was like, this is an EP. It's not a full album.
Yeah, see? But she released an album this year and a bunch of singles and music, and yeah, I love her.
So my number 2 almost ended up lower on my list, but then I was like, nah, I'll be a hypocrite about it. But then she fixed it, so it's fine. My number 2 is JoJo. JoJo released Good to Know this year, as well as a Christmas album called December Baby. JoJo also had the nerve to release an album called Good to Know, and then release an acoustic version of said album, and then release a deluxe version of that album. Girl, it's so much. It's just so much. I listened to the deluxe version today, as a matter of fact, and it is so good. It's a hardcore R&B album, so just R&B vibes throughout. Also, kind of I feel like most of this album is basically a get you in the mood playlist, to be honest.
Ooh.
I've been a fan of JoJo since I was a child, so once you come out the gate swinging with Leave, Get Out, you got to be a fan at like 13. She was killing at 13. So now that she's older, like her voice has just matured so much. And a lot of fans were saying the same thing. Like her voice, like when you think she can't get any better, she just proves just how talented she is. She does indeed get better. She improves her voice. She just becomes more skilled of an artist. And her music just gets better and better the more that she releases and the older that she gets. And that's very much shown and proven on Good to Know. December Baby, kind of like Tori Kelly's Christmas album, obviously has some Christmas classics on it. However, I do appreciate that JoJo kind of makes them a little bit more interesting. She makes them into interludes, and she kind of changes up how they sound. So it's got a really unique vibe to it, and I really like that. And then she's got she's got more than a couple. She's got a number of original Christmas songs on that album. So, open up your Christmas repertoire just a little bit. But Good to Know is what got her on this list. And before I had to change it up a little bit, my top 3 for about half the year was nothing but R&B vibes. But yeah, she's really good. She's so good. And my recommendations from her standard version of the album are So Bad, Small Things, and Think About You. So that's my number 2, JoJo. Been in the game a long time, and she just gets better with age, like a fine wine.
Nice.
So before we get into our number ones on this list, I have to read Colin's list. So Colin's top 10 list. Number 10, The Midnight. Number 9, Chica. Number 8, Dominic Fike. Number 7, Ninja Sex Party. Number 6, City Mouth. Number 5, Sam Smith. Number 4, Black Bear. Number 3, Rina Sawayama. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Number 2, Richie Branson. And number 1, All Time Low.
I recognize 2 of those.
I recognize like 4 of those.
I recognize All Time Low because they're actually famous. And
wait, so is Sam Smith.
Oh, I miss Sam Smith. Yeah, I recognize Sam Smith, and I recognize Ninja Sex Party, but only because I know Colin.
I know. I was going to say I know Ninja Sex Party from Colin. You guys don't know Black Bear?
I don't know Black Bear.
Wait,
and I don't know Ninja Sex Party.
Have I heard of Black Bear? I don't know.
Black Bear is getting pretty popular this past year. He's a rapper. He's on the Machine Gun Kelly album that I mentioned earlier.
I do know Black Bear.
Did you say one of them was called City Mouth?
Yes.
See, that's like, it's the same thing we talked about last time with just putting 2 words together. City and mouth. And then boom, you got a Colin entry.
Ninja Sex Party though.
Oh, yeah,
that's the ultimate one.
You don't forget that once you hear it.
I've heard of Chica too, I believe. I've never heard that person's music, but I have heard of them.
Sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't say I've actually heard of them.
But yeah, that was Colin's top 10 list. So let's get into our number ones.
Colin is on brand.
Number 1.
Dallas, what's your number 1, man? Because we have finally reached our number ones.
Woo!
He did it. Oh, I'm so happy. My number 1 is Run the Jewels.
That makes sense.
The Jewels. Yep, you know me. For those who don't know, Run the Jewels is a rap duo made up of Killer Mike and LP, the rapper slash producer. And this year they put out an album called RTJ4, obviously stands for Run the Jewels 4. They also put out a single for that Cyberpunk game. I haven't played the game. I have not engaged in the discourse either, so don't ask me about it. And Killer Mike was featured on Black Thought's album, which I thought was a nice little treat for me. The album starts with a song called Yankee and the Brave, episode 4. And it's kind of like, it's framed as like an adventure show. Yankee being LP because he's from New York, and the Brave being Killer Mike because he's from Atlanta, Georgia. And the video is an animated story of them being chased and shot at by robot Nazi cops. So
great.
They are not shy about political issues at all.
No, they're not.
Which, of course, they never have been. If you know anything about Killer Mike, you know that he is never been shy. He has a song called Reagan where he just talks about Ronald Reagan being the devil because, of course, he did. Also, like, I don't know if it was before or after the album came out, but it was when everything was happening at its height and there were protests all the time. Killer Mike made a speech in Atlanta and he's wearing a shirt that says "Kill Your Masters." Which,
yes,
man, he's on brand. And he has a cameo in the show The Good Lord Bird, which was dope. It's not really like related to his music, but I just wanted to throw that in there because the song was like, "Hey, Killer Mike." And they have another song called The Ground Below, and the instrumental is in the Miles Morales game.
Oh,
nice.
And I freaked out when I heard it because my cousin was playing the game, and there's the scene where a Miles friend takes him to the underground. I won't get to too much detail past that because, spoilers. But the music's playing, and I was like, Run the Jewels. But I couldn't, I was like, what song is that? And I found it. I was like, this is that song. I was very excited.
I think I know
what
part you're
Kayla and my cousin.
I think I know what part you're talking about. I just finished the game yesterday. So
okay, yeah. But it's an amazing album. I've listened to it over and over and over again. My Spotify Wrapped 2020 was basically like, oh, you listened to a lot of Run the Jewels this year, buddy. Which I did because it's great. Yeah, the album is full of stuff that's very on brand for, kill your masters, fighting robot Nazi cops. And my favorite verse on the album is LP's verse, or one of his verses, in Walking in the Snow. And I was trying to pull a quote from it, and I couldn't narrow it down because I like all of it so much. So, it's a chunk. Just bear with me. So LP says, funny fact about a cage, they're never built for just one group. So when that cage is done with them and you still pour, it comes for you. The newest lowest on the totem, Mogali G, you have been used. You help to fuel a death machine that down the line will kill you too. Continues to say, pseudo-Christians, y'all indifferent. Kids in prisons ain't a sin. If even one scrap of what Jesus taught connected, you feel different. What a disingenuous way to piss away existence. I don't get it. I say you lost your goddamn minds if y'all possess one to begin with. And man, I've played that song so many times. But that's pretty much the vibe of their music this year. Or I guess, last year because this is coming out in 2021. Time's a construct. RTJ4 was my soundtrack for 2020. And my favorite 3 songs are Yankee and the Brave, Walking in the Snow, and Ooh La La. Ooh La La is my favorite song of the year. And the cherry on top was that it played in the final scene of Ozark, which was my favorite show of the year. Someone gets shot in the head because Ozark. And then the song starts playing and it goes into the credits. And, I just vibed out while enjoying my favorite show of the year. So yeah, Run the Jewels. Thank you, Killer Mike. Thank you, LP. I love you both. You guys are dope. Stay dope.
Gabby, what is your number 1 for the year?
Okay, my number 1 for the year is Johnny Flynn, who helped with the soundtrack for probably one of my favorite movies of the year, which was Emma.
Yo, was that 2020?
Yes, it was.
Oh my God.
It was one of the last movies I saw in the theater.
I think I asked that yesterday too.
Yeah.
I forgot about the theater era.
Yeah, so specifically the song I'm talking about is Queen Bee. And it plays in the credits of Emma, and it's just so good. And once again, folky music. He's English, so I don't know if it quite counts as folk, but it's just kind of like, a guitar and a dude with a raspy voice. And I'm like, yep, that's my alley, man. So yeah, Johnny Flynn's my number 1. I think I had that song on repeat for like a good 4 or 5 months, just listening to that. Johnny Flynn.
All right, so my number 1, I'm gonna end our lists with this. My number 1 is Chloe and Halle for their album Ungodly Hour.
Ooh, very nice.
People at home who have been listening this year have probably heard me bring up Halle Bailey quite a bit. Well, this is the singing duo that she is part of with her sister, Chloe Bailey, and they are amazing.
Yeah, truly.
Ungodly Hour is such a good R&B album. I think they're actually nominated for a Grammy for alternative R&B for this album. For those who don't know, Chloe and Halle are signed by Beyonce to her music label, and she's basically their mentor. And you can kind of get that sense because the way that they grow in their music, they are just really good at what they do for two women who are at such young ages. I believe Hallie is 20 and Chloe is 22. They had a recent performance, a Verizon performance, and I just love them because the two of them individually just give different vibes. They are like the embodiment of yin and yang. You know, Chloe has kind of like a Beyonce thing going when she performs. Her voice is so powerful and she's so confident and is sassy and just has all of that in her performance. And Hallie just is the opposite. She's so chill and calm and just kind of vibing with the music. And it's so interesting to see how different the two of them are on stage and also off stage. They're very different off stage as well, but it works so well for their duo. And it's kind of like the perfect energy because they kind of like, there's something like so whole about them as a duo.
It's a nice balance.
Yeah, they have such a great balance to each other. I was talking about the Rising performance. They did that performance and people were literally like, yo, who pissed off Chloe? Because Chloe had the most emotion, the most energy in any performance I've ever seen them put on during this quarantine. She was not playing with whoever she was direct messaging with that performance.
Goodness gracious.
Holly was like, I support you over here.
Over here.
But yeah, they're so very talented. They are my MVPs of quarantine performances because every performance was different. No performance was the same. And like, shout out to their tennis court because you could dress that thing up as anything and it was great. Chloe and Hallie want to be at the pool? Okay, we'll make it look like a pool and we'll just have a drone above them to make it look like there's water or whatever, like it's a nice summer day. Oh, you want a nice laser light performance at night? We got that too. Oh, wait a minute. You want a snowy wonderland for when you do this Disney sing-along performance for Frozen? We got that.
Very dope.
Every performance was different. So shout out to them for their creativity and shout out to the tennis court for being able to put up with all that. Also, whoever is doing their styling for all their performances, they look amazing every time they perform. I hope that they let Hallie play guitar in more performances because the few that she did this year, I was like feeling it because watching a black girl get to jam out on a guitar is so cool and just so not seen very often.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So Chloe and Hallie are my number one for the year. Great songwriting, great music. My three standouts for that album are Do It, Forgive Me, and Ungodly Hour. But the whole album is fantastic. I listened to it all again today too before we did this podcast, and I was just like reminded, like, wow, this is a great album. Their initial release date, I think they pushed it back a week because it was supposed to come out the same week that all of the protests started.
Oh.
I think it was the week actually that George Floyd was murdered, actually. And so they were like, we are pushing back the album another week because we want the world to focus on this and not on something that isn't as important. So shout out to them for that and for having respect for the social climate that we were in. But yeah, they're wonderful. And I can't wait to see where their careers go because they are talented. The songwriting, the music, oh my God, it's amazing. And I can't wait to see Halle Bailey play Ariel in The Little Mermaid and just murder that entire soundtrack.
Oh yeah, she's going to do really well.
Yeah, she has such an angelic voice and you can hear it on the album. If you have any doubts of this girl playing Ariel, listen to her sing on this album and you'll just know. You know which sister is which too. It's easy to tell which one's singing what part. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's our top 10 for 2020.
Woo.
We did it.
We did it. Make sure you join us tomorrow for our most anticipated movies of 2021 as we look into the rest of this year. Hopefully. What will hopefully be this year.
We'll see what happens.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Thank you to everyone on our list for putting out dope music.
And getting us through this quarantine.
I say we definitely needed it in 2020. It was a mess. Thank you, audience. You guys are great, as always. Thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon, and Aya for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. To me, thank you for editing and trying to rein us in like Tom does for Lupe and Royce on their podcast.
I do try.
Gabby, thank you for, I guess, not having a full 10, so you kept this episode runtime shorter than most of our recaps.
You're welcome.
Thanks for trying.
Yeah, do every little bit counts. If you guys want to talk to us about our favorite music and compare lists and, just ask us who some of these people are, You can find us on the medias, Twitter, y'all_different, Instagram and Tumblr, Creative Differences Podcast, or Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to talk to me about Rappity Rap, you can hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at A King Named Simba.
If you want to talk to me about folk music, I'm on the Instagrams at Stegosoria.
And you guys can talk to me about R&B and pop music on Instagram and Twitter at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us.
And if you want to go ask Colin who the hell those people were on his list, you can find Colin on Twitter at halfblackthought, but it's THOT.
I'm glad I gave you an idea.
Oh, God,
Thank you.
That's great.
All right. It's been different.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.